Hello, my name is Jack Wolf. Welcome to my channel, Impressions. Today, I know you're off and running in the new year, and so I just want to give you just a little encouraging story to keep you motivated to keep pressing on. The marathon was the final event of the 1968 Olympics in Mexico. The stadium was packed, as you might expect, and there was excitement in the air as people were watching this last event finish in this beautiful stadium. Way back in the field was a runner by the name of John Stephen Akhwari of Tanzania. And when the race began, John was eclipsed by many of the other runners. And about 18 miles in, he really started having a real hard time. He was aching. His muscles were sore. He was really struggling, and he fell to the ground and hurt himself. And the officials of the race, they wanted him to quit. But John wouldn't have it. He was going to finish this race. And so he bandaged up his knee and gets back up. And he hobbles the rest of the way into that stadium. He had about another 7 miles to go. But by the time that John got into the stadium, most of the stadium was beginning to empty out. There was only a few thousand spectators left. And when he finished the race, he finished it over an hour later than the person who won the race. And so a reporter came up to him and asked him, why didn't he drop out? And here's what he said, and I want to read this quote to you. He said, "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race." I know this is an obvious thing, but when I read stories like this, it stirs my heart, and I want it to stir yours as well. There's lots of verses in the Bible that remind us just to keep us being encouraged. The Bible says to run the race that's set before us. You and I are not competitors. You have a different race, I have a different race, but we're running that race. We're running what's been set before us, and to run it with all of our heart. There's another verse that says, a righteous man falls down 6 times, but gets up 7. I like that John got back up, bandaged that knee, and pressed on and finished that race. And I think it's kind of funny that he's the name that people remember, maybe more than the guy who actually won the race. Another favorite verse of mine, in fact, I have it in my email when I sign my emails, Deuteronomy 34:7. Moses was 120 years old when he died, and his eyes were not weak, and his heart never failed. The reason I love that verse and why I put it on my email, because that's how I want to live my life. And here's what it means to me. It means that when Moses was 120 years old, he was still had a heart filled with passion. He still had eyes that could dream. I'll be honest, I'm a runner. And if I turned the camera around and showed you all the medals that I have on my wall, maybe you'd be impressed. And there's times I'm a little impressed with myself. I've run races where I finished 5Ks in the top 10 and finished and beat a lot of 30-year-olds. But I've had races where guys older than me are passing me. And you know what? When they do, I'm not thinking, oh, I got to beat that guy. It's an encouragement to me, to keep running. This is the kind of example that we need to set. We're not competitors, as I've said. We're running our individual races. And so in a running group, people encourage each other. It's not like, hey, how come you're not faster? How come you're not doing better? But we encourage and inspire one another to keep running the race that's set before us. I know you've probably set some big goals. And I just want to encourage you, look at those goals over, and maybe some need to go by the wayside, but some need to stay right in your heart. And focus on the things that God's put in your heart and what you want to do and what's out in front of you. Don't let anybody discourage you. And don't compete with anybody else. And when you see somebody passing you, give them a high five and say, well done, keep running. This is the kind of example that we need to set for one another, because it will encourage all of us to stay running the race that's set before us. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless.